Hi, and welcome to the first of a series of workflow guides which we are putting together to help you make the most of your laser scans and assist you in the process of using FARO scan data in a variety of third-party software. In this first workflow guide, we are going to consider the basic steps and options available to you for export of your scan data from FARO Scene in the most efficient manner, so that you may import this into other third-party software such as CAD or BIM authoring packages for further processing or modelling. As a basic overview of the functionality, once registered and processed to an acceptable standard, the main scan export functions from Scene are as follows. Save a copy of scans. This function allows you to save a copy of the registered FLS files, including any alterations or colorizations made to them, into a defined directory for later import elsewhere. Looking at a typical project, if we expand the structure, we can see there are 12 separate scans here, held within 3 separate clusters. All of the data has been registered and processed to an acceptable point. If we right-click on an individual scan and scroll down to Save a Copy of Scan, we can save this individual file out to the desired directory. At this point, you may also need to save any modifications made to the project. Similarly, if we use the same command at the cluster or scans level, we will save out a copy of each scan within this structure tree. If we take a look at the output files, each scan is saved with the default name as labelled in Scene. The next option available is to export a single scan point cloud or multiple scan point clouds and to save these out in a desired format. The export formats available in Scene are as follows: E57 files, VRML files, DXF files, XYZ files, XYZ binary files, IGES files, PTS files, PTX files, and POD files. Commonly used export formats in other software would be Autodesk software via Recap. The best route would be to save a copy of the scans in FLS format. For Autodesk software direct from Scene, the best route would be to export in E57 format. For Bentley software, the export would be in POD format. Using the same project example, if we take a look at how we would go about this, again as before, for a single scan we would right click on the individual scan, and for multiple scans we would right click on the cluster or the overarching file. Scroll down to the Import Export selection and choose Export Scan Point Clouds. We are now presented with an export selection screen, where you will notice a large number of the options are greyed out and full scan is selected. We can now define the target directory and select the required file format from the drop-down list. If I quickly highlight each file type, you will notice that a small number of additional options are available to fine-tune each selection. I'm going to select the E57 format and I'm going to click Export. I'll pause the export video and restart that on completion. If we take a look at the results, now you will notice that where the multiple files have been exported, Scene will augment the file name with the scan number as labelled within the project. If we want to export all or large segments of scan data in a defined format, the methods by which to do this would be to either export the project point cloud or to export scan points. Assuming a project point cloud has been created, this is a fairly simple process, achieved by clicking on the File menu, scrolling down to the Scan project and selecting Export Project Point Cloud. Note here the usual selection box opens. However, although the majority of the options are greyed out, this method will export the project point cloud itself, not information from the individual scans. Therefore, any edits to the data and sampling are likely to have been undertaken at an earlier stage and will be included in the export. Using the export scan points function, we can export an entire cluster as a single file in a defined format, or all of the scans in the project as a single file in a defined format. When using this method, a variety of options are available. You will notice the minimum and maximum distances, which limit the export selection in relation to the scanner position. Altering the minimum distance will not export points situated close to the scanner. Altering the maximum distance will not export points situated far away from the scanner. Using the subsample option will allow us to thin out and reduce the number of scan points which are exported. When set up one, every column and every row is exported. However, if we set these values to, for example, 10, we will only export the 10th row and the 10th column of points, therefore giving us a reduction to 1/100th of the size. The final option we have here is the colour and grey selection box. By enabling this option, we will export the RGB and the grayscale or intensity values for each scan point. If we quickly take a look at the two exported files for each method, you will notice that the exported project point cloud comes in at around 3.5 gigabytes, whereas the exported scan points combined come in at around just under 6 gigabytes. The reason for this is down to some of the sampling that's been undertaken in creation of the project point cloud. The next feature we will look at is using the export scan points function to export an area of scan data defined in a 3D, planar or quick view, and also using the export scan points function to export from a clipping box or as multiple slices of scan data. If we load in a scan file and open up a planar view or a quick view, we can easily navigate to a particular point or feature. And using the polygon selection tool, we can highlight the item of interest that we wish to export and use in an external software package. If I right click and scroll down to view and open up a 3D view, I can validate my selection, navigate around it, and I can clean it up if I really wished. Going back into the planar view, if I right click and scroll down to export, I can choose between direct export and export scan points. Export scan points will open up the usual command window, whilst direct export bypasses this window and uses the previous settings from the previous export. If we take a quick look at the exported file, you will notice it's around 15 megabytes. If we look at a different example project where we have scanned an entire house, registered the data and created a project point cloud, it is possible that the only area of interest within this scan project would be the house itself. In this case, using a clipping box, we can isolate the house scan points within the project point cloud and export them in the desired format by either right-clicking on the clipping box itself or within the project structure, scrolling down to Import Export and selecting Export 3D selection using active clipping boxes. The usual menu window appears, however, now gives us the option to create a local coordinate system for the active clipping box, or to use the coordinate system of the overall project by leaving this box unselected. The output file size does not change, and in this example, the output file is around 2.5 gigabytes. There are commands within Scene which will allow you to export preset slices of individual scans. However, as most projects obviously contain multiple scans, the best way to achieve this is with multiple clipping boxes. Using the same project as before and switching to orthographic mode, I'm going to use the Create Clipping Box Attached to Surface command and select 3 points on the gable of the building by which to define my clipping box. I then need to tweak the fit of my box slightly and reduce its width to my target slice size. Once I am happy with my slice, I am then going to right click on my clipping box within the project structure and select Create Multiple Clipping Boxes along an axis. The menu that I'm presented with offers me the choice to create multiple boxes along the X, Y or Z axis. In theory then, this command could be used to create cross sections along the X or Y axis of a building, or box section floor plans along the Z axis. I'm going to select the x-axis and use the settings to reduce the spaces between each box to 1 metre, whilst also increasing the number of boxes to 5. I will then update the folder name and I will click OK. The resultant boxes are just slightly short of the full building, so after some slight adjustment to increase the width of my slices, I'm then ready to open up my Export Scan Points menu. Note the new folder created here within the project structure. You can now see at this point we can choose to export each slice individually or group all of the slices together in one export file. I hope this video has been informative to you. In the next few videos in the series, we will look at using these techniques in real workflow scenarios and producing results in other external software packages. Thank you.